Welcome back to Women of Worth, the podcast that's all about helping women build stronger, healthier lives. Today, we're diving into a topic that touches all of us. Friendships and relationships, whether it's your best friend, your partner, or even your work colleagues. The connections we keep play a huge role in shaping our mental well-being. Here's the thing. Great relationships can make you feel on top of the world, but toxic ones, they can drag you down. So how do you tell the difference? How do you build connections that uplift you while protecting your peace? That's exactly what we're talking about today. We'll explore how to recognize healthy dynamics, set boundaries, and handle tricky situations. Plus, I'll share inspiring real-life stories from women like Beatrice, Julie, Candice, and May. Women who've faced these challenges head-on and learned to navigate their relationships with strength and grace. If you're ready to uncover the secrets to meaningful, supportive relationships, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell for future episodes. And we want to hear from you. What's the best piece of relationship advice you've ever received? Drop it in the comments and let's start a conversation. Now, let's jump in and discover how to navigate friendships and relationships in a way that brings balance, joy, and mental well-being into your life.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive.
Ooh, deep dive.
Into something that honestly affects all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the connection between our relationships and our mental well-being.
Absolutely.
We're going to be looking at friendships and relationships and how those can actually impact our mental health.
Fascinating stuff.
Drawing insights from some real women like Beatrice, Julie, Candice, and May.
That's right. Yeah. And it's really interesting how much research backs all of this up. Mm-hmm. You know, strong social support. It isn't just about like having people to hang out with or, just having like a big group. It's actually linked to lower rates of anxiety and depression.
So it's almost like a safety net.
Totally.
For your mental health.
Yeah, exactly. Like I always think about it like, you know how a smile can be infectious?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you see someone smile and you can't help but smile back.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out emotions can be infectious too.
Oh, wow.
And there's this concept called emotional contagion.
Okay.
And it shows how both positive and negative feelings can actually spread between people.
So it's like if you're around someone who's really negative,
exactly,
you're going to start to feel more negative.
You're going to start to feel a bit down yourself and you might not even realize why.
Wow. And the opposite is true too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're surrounded by positive people, you're more likely to feel upbeat and optimistic.
That's amazing.
It is. And we actually have an example of this from Beatrice.
Okay.
She found that spending time with her supportive friends really helped her stay calm.
Oh, wow.
Especially when she was dealing with a lot of stress at work.
So she was able to kind of like draw from that positive energy.
Yeah, it's like they were this buffer against all that negativity.
That's so interesting.
It is, and it really makes you think, right?
Yeah.
About the company you keep and how it might be affecting you.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and this leads us to, I think, a really crucial question.
Okay.
How do we actually build these healthy, supportive relationships in the first place?
Yeah, because it's not like it just happens automatically.
Exactly. It's not like you just wake up one day and you've got this perfect circle of supportive friends.
Yeah.
It does take effort. It takes intention.
Yeah.
And our source actually outlines 5 key strategies.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right, so the first one is all about paying attention to how you feel around others.
How you feel. Interesting.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed how certain people just seem to drain your energy?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like you spend an hour with them and you just feel exhausted.
Yeah, like you need a nap.
It's like they're little emotional vampires.
Oh, my gosh.
But seriously, though, being mindful of how you feel after spending time with someone can be a total game changer.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it is. And, we have a great example of this.
Okay.
Julie was dealing with a friend who just always seemed to be complaining about her problems. And after their conversations, Julie just found herself feeling anxious and drained.
Wow. So it was actually impacting her.
Yeah, it was having a real negative impact.
Wow.
And so she started to really prioritize spending time with people who left her feeling energized and happy instead.
And that's not selfish.
No, not at all.
Right.
It's about protecting your own emotional well-being.
Yeah.
Recognizing that you deserve to be around people who lift you up, not drag you down.
You get to choose
Exactly.
who you spend your time with.
It's about recognizing that your time and energy are valuable.
Right.
And you get to choose how you spend them.
I love that.
Yeah. And it kind of brings us to our second strategy.
Okay.
Maintaining your independence.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it's easy to lose sight of yourself in a relationship, whether it's romantic or platonic.
Right. You can get so caught up.
Exactly. And Candice's story really illustrates this well.
Okay.
So she realized that she had kind of put her own passions on hold to focus on her partner.
Okay.
And so she decided to reclaim that part of herself.
For her.
Yeah. And she started taking art classes again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she rediscovered this love for art. And it actually even made her relationship stronger.
That's so interesting.
It is, isn't it?
Because you think that focusing on yourself would...
You'd think it would take away,
Yeah.
but actually it can add to it.
It can enhance it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're not two halves trying to become a whole.
Right.
Two wholes coming together.
I love that.
That to share your lives.
That's a great way to put it.
It is. And that leads us to the next strategy.
Oh.
Being honest about your needs.
Ooh, that one's tough.
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be really tough.
Because sometimes it's just easier to go along with things.
Yeah, you don't want to rock the boat.
Right.
You want to avoid conflict.
Yeah, exactly.
But bottling things up can actually lead to resentment down the line.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and it can be a real disservice to the relationship.
Yeah, because you're not your authentic self.
You're not allowing for that true intimacy and connection.
That's a good point.
And so the key here is to communicate those needs effectively.
Right. But how do you do that?
Well, our source suggests using I statements.
Okay.
So instead of blaming the other person,
Right.
you focus on how their actions make you feel.
So give me an example.
Sure. So for example,
Okay.
if a friend is always late, instead of saying you're always late,
Right.
you could say, I feel disrespected when I'm left waiting.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it shifts the focus to your own experience.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually May had a similar experience.
Okay, tell me about it.
So she was tired of a friend constantly showing up late.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Right. And she finally decided to speak up
Good for her.
and explain how it made her feel.
Yeah.
And her friend apologized.
Wow.
And actually started making an effort to be on time.
Really?
Imagine that.
That's amazing.
This goes to show that open and honest communication
Yeah,
can work wonders.
it can. Yeah.
It can, and it really emphasizes the importance of balance in relationships.
Right, it's a two-way street.
It is. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Both people need to feel heard
Yeah.
and respected.
Absolutely.
And speaking of two-way streets,
Okay.
our next strategy is all about noticing the give and take in friendships.
Okay.
It shouldn't feel like one person is always giving and the other is always taking.
Yeah, it's not a good dynamic.
It's not. It's like a seesaw.
Okay.
If one person is always pushing down and the other is stuck in the air,
Yeah.
it's not much fun for either of them.
No.
So
Yeah.
healthy relationships, they thrive on balance and reciprocity.
Right, so both people are contributing.
Exactly. And we have an example of this from Beatrice.
Okay.
So she realized that she was always the one
Yeah.
initiating get-togethers and making plans.
Oh, so she was always the one reaching out.
She was, and she finally spoke up
Okay.
and asked her friends to share the responsibility.
And how did they respond?
They did.
Really?
Yeah, and it made the friendships feel much more balanced
Wow.
and enjoyable.
So it actually improved the friendships.
It did.
Wow, that's great.
It is, and it's about making sure that everyone feels valued
Yeah.
and that their contributions are recognized.
Absolutely.
And it prevents one person from feeling burnout
Right.
or taken advantage of.
Yeah, or resentful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that brings us to our last strategy,
Okay, hit me with it.
being open to vulnerability.
Ooh, this is the big one.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. This is where the real magic happens.
Yeah.
But it can be scary.
It can be really scary.
It can, but it's the key to building those deep, meaningful connections. Vulnerability, it creates a bridge between people.
I like that.
Yeah, it allows for a level of understanding and empathy.
That's beautiful.
It is, think of it this way.
Okay.
You're sharing a piece of your heart with someone
Oh,
and trusting them to handle it with care.
yeah, that's powerful.
It is. And Julie's story is a great example of this.
Yeah.
So she was nervous about a big life change, and she decided to confide in a close friend.
Yeah.
And her friend listened with compassion and offered support.
That's great.
And it made Julie feel less alone and more capable of facing her challenge.
That's so important.
It reminds us that we don't have to go through life's ups and downs alone.
Right.
Having someone to lean on can make all the difference.
Absolutely. It can.
It really can.
It really can. Yeah, it's powerful stuff. You know?
Yeah.
Just thinking about how sharing our vulnerabilities can really strengthen our bonds.
And, just help us navigate life's challenges.
It makes you feel less alone.
It does.
Yeah.
But let's face it, not all relationships are sunshine and roses.
That's true.
Yeah, sometimes we encounter relationships that just feel difficult or even toxic.
How do we know when a relationship is doing more harm than good?
That is the $1 million question.
Right.
Just like we put effort into building those healthy relationships, it's equally important to recognize when a relationship might be heading in the wrong direction.
So what are some red flags we should be looking out for?
There are a few key things: constant criticism, controlling behavior, dishonesty.
Yeah.
These are all signs that something might be off.
It's almost like a gut feeling, right?
It is.
You just get this feeling.
You get this like icky feeling in your stomach.
Or you can't quite put your finger on it.
But you know something's not right. If you're constantly feeling drained or stressed or just disrespected after interacting with someone, that's a big sign to pay attention to.
Pay attention.
And actually, Candice's story is a perfect example of this.
Okay.
So she had this friend who was always making jokes at her expense.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it made her feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But she was hesitant to say anything.
It's hard to speak up sometimes.
It is, especially with friends.
Especially with friends. Yeah, you don't want
to hurt their feelings. You don't want to rock the boat.
Right.
But Candice eventually realized that her friend's behavior just wasn't okay.
Right.
And she made the difficult decision to distance herself.
And that takes courage.
It does.
Yeah.
Sometimes walking away is the healthiest thing you can do.
Right.
Even if it's hard.
Yeah, and it can be so hard.
It can, but it frees up space in your life for relationships that truly nurture and support you.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's like pruning a tree. Sometimes you have to remove those dead branches to allow the healthy ones to thrive.
I love that analogy.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah.
And May's story is another great example of this.
Okay.
So she ended a friendship with someone who was constantly criticizing her.
Ooh.
And while it was painful at first, she ultimately felt this sense of relief.
Wow. So it was the right decision.
It was.
Yeah.
She was able to focus on relationships that brought her joy and acceptance.
That's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
And so it's about recognizing that you deserve to be in relationships that lift you up, not drag you down.
Not drag you down. I love that.
Right. While navigating all these complexities of relationships can be challenging.
Oh, yeah, totally.
There's some fascinating scientific insights that can help us better understand these dynamics.
I love when science sheds light on our everyday experiences. What kind of insights are we talking about?
Well, remember that concept of emotional contagion we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
So research actually shows that emotions can spread from person to person.
Like a ripple effect.
Exactly, like a ripple effect, like a mood virus.
So if you're around positive people, their energy can be contagious.
It can.
And same for negative emotions.
Absolutely.
It makes it even more important
to
be mindful of the company you keep.
It really does.
Yeah.
And another interesting area is attachment theory.
Okay.
So this explores the patterns we develop in our early relationships and how they influence our approach to connection.
So like a blueprint for how we relate to others.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So some people might have a secure attachment style.
Okay.
Where they feel comfortable with both intimacy and independence.
Okay.
Others might have an anxious attachment style where they crave closeness.
Okay.
But also worry about abandonment.
Right, so they're a little bit more
clingy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the avoidant attachment style.
Okay.
Where people tend to shy away from emotional intimacy.
So they're kind of like the loners.
Kind of, yeah. They have a hard time opening up and letting people in.
It's amazing how
It is.
like our early experiences can shape the way we approach relationships later in life.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And so understanding our own attachment style could be really helpful
It could.
in navigating our current relationship.
Absolutely. It can give us valuable insights into our patterns
Right.
and help us make conscious choices
Yeah.
about the connections we cultivate.
So we're not just
Yeah.
like blindly,
We're not just reacting.
Yeah.
We're actually being proactive.
we're choosing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps one of the most crucial elements
Okay.
for healthy relationships, regardless of attachment style, is effective communication.
Communication is key.
It's the bridge that connects us. It allows us to express our needs, our desires, resolve conflicts, and celebrate joys together. Research actually shows
Yeah.
that effective communication is one of the strongest predictors of relationship satisfaction.
Wow. So it's really important.
It's crucial, and it's not just about talking, though.
Okay.
It's about truly listening,
Right.
being present with each other, and expressing ourselves honestly
Yeah.
and respectfully.
Like learning a new language.
It is.
The language of understanding.
Yeah.
And empathy.
And connection.
and genuine connection.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's something we can all work on improving.
Absolutely.
It really is. Creating that safe space where both people feel heard and validated
Yeah.
can make all the difference.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into friendships and relationships, what are some key takeaways?
Okay, well, first and foremost, I hope they remember
Yeah.
that relationships have a profound impact
Okay.
on our mental well-being.
Yeah.
They can be a source of incredible strength and support,
Right.
but they can also
Yeah.
be a source of stress and negativity.
It's like we have this power
We do.
to choose who we let into our lives
Yeah.
and how we let them affect us.
It's about being intentional
Right.
with our connections and
Yeah.
making choices
Yeah.
that align with our values
Yeah.
and our well-being.
So for you listening,
Yeah.
think about the relationships in your life. Are they lifting you up
Yeah.
or dragging you down?
Yeah.
What's one small step you can take today
Ooh.
to nurture those positive connections
Yeah.
and set healthy boundaries in the others?
That's a great question. And remember, building healthy relationships is an ongoing journey. It takes effort,
Yeah.
communication, a willingness to put yourself out there. And don't forget, you're not alone in this journey.
Right.
We all crave connection and belonging.
Speaking of connection,
Yes.
we'd love to hear from you.
Who would?
If you enjoyed this deep dive,
Yeah.
give the video a like and leave a comment below.
Tell us what resonated with you.
Yeah.
Or any suggestions for future deep dives.
We're always looking for new topics.
We are.
Thanks for joining us
Yeah.
on this deep dive into friendships and relationships.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep exploring
Yeah.
and keep learning.
See you in the next deep dive.